Wonderful, 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 wonderful. We are live. Magic, 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 magic. We'll start in a moment. We'll start in a moment. And just, always this in the beginning is that little bit of start. I got to share it, mark it as featured, put it at the top. Just fiddly stuff, fiddly stuff. Today, we are going to start on module 4 of the course, Freedom from Anxiety and Worry. Right? It's a substantial course. We've been going through it. We've obviously done modules 1, 2, and 3 already, and we're on module 4. And I think there's a couple more to come still. One more share here, and then I want to pin it to the top so that everybody can see it. Share it to my feed as well. All right, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I'll screen share in a moment and we can see what we're doing. So the module 4 is called Understanding What's Really Going On. We went into depth and in detail down into the roots of things last week as to what was underlying stuff, but we're going even further this week. And this is important. We really do want to understand. And I want to emphasize this point about understanding, right? Before I do that, let me just let Norma know. Norma was keen to come, and I'll send you the link, Norma. I'm live right now, Norma. I'm live right now. There's the link for you. So I'll see you here in a second. So let me know when you come, Norman. Let me know when you come. Understanding what's going on is a big deal. And I want to emphasize this point about understanding. This is something that I think is misunderstood, that especially when people are dealing with things that are problematic to them. They want a solution. They want to say, yeah, do this, do that, and it'll fix your problem. They don't understand that understanding is the fix. Let me repeat that. Understanding itself is the fix. Understand what's going on and the thing automatically resolves. It's kind of amazing, right? If you're stuck in something and you're not thinking right, you misunderstand, you've got a misbelief. If you understand your problem is because you have a misbelief, well, once you understand that your belief that you were holding on to, that you were really clinging to, is a false belief, how do you not change it right in that moment? Right? If you're honest, if you're sensible, well, I see. Oh, it's a misbelief. Well, you change it right there. See, understanding is the fix, is the resolution, is how you deal with things. It's understanding, really, really understanding, right? That's why when we're starting here today, it's understanding what's really going on. That's the name of the module. I'll share screen in a moment and we'll look at that. I just want to wait until Norma is here. Are you here, Norma? Just make a comment there if you're here. Right. Very important, this understanding. Very, very, very key. All right. Maybe Norma can't come right now. So I don't want to stress it. So no worries, Norma. Always, never, ever a worry. I do love it when you come. It's most important to me. But, we take things as they come. Sher's joining us. Perfect. Perfect. What a gift. What a gift. What a gift. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Wonderful, wonderful. Yay. Sher is here. Wonderful, wonderful, Sher. Wonderful. That was a bonus. I wasn't sure if you could make it or not. What a gift. What a gift. Hello, Sher. Hello, 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 and welcome. Very glad you're here. Very glad you're here. How are you, Sher? How are you? How are you?
I am awake.
Yeah, that's a start. That's a start, right? From there, we can go anywhere, right? So in order to get anything, you've got to start with being awake, right? So it's a start. We will celebrate being awake. We will celebrate being awake.
We can add aware and appreciative and
there we
other
go.
A words.
There
So,
we go. Yes, exactly. And because to me, the very first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning, so okay, I'm awake
yep.
now. Before I even open my eyes, I choose my moods. I choose,
Well,
and I
yeah.
choose to be aware. I choose to be deliberate. I choose to whatever, right? So yeah, exactly.
So
So
if I'm going to
yeah,
use an A word, then I can just say I assess my attitude.
exactly. It's a whole lot of exactly. So I assess my attitudes. I assess my attunement. I
Yes.
assess my appropriateness.
My
Yes, I
awareness.
do a whole bunch of A stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
assess my appreciation, especially. I very much assess my appreciation. I assess my
Exactly.
availability. I assess my accessibility. I assess my adventurousness, whatever. All sorts of
Mhm.
A things to assess. I assess my attention, all of this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Start with
Very
A at the
cool.
beginning of the day. There you go.
There you go. Start with A at the beginning of the day. Yes, 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 yes. I love that. A plus. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. These are all power A terms. They're very, very powerful. So very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Ah, Norma's here. You're watching me on the big computer. Very cool. Can you hear me, Norma? I wasn't sure if you had sound on your big computer. Because normally Norma's watching on the phone, so she shifted it today. So we like looking at you very big over there, which is cool, Norma. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Norma? I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Because
I
I wasn't
know.
sure if she had sound on the big computer. I just want to make sure. So let me
Yeah.
know if you can hear me, Norma. If you're not responding there, then I have to assume you're not hearing me. Yeah, no sounds. That's what I thought, Norma. That's what I thought. You don't have sound connected to yeah, she doesn't have sound connected to a big computer. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. No. Oh, it's not what I meant to do. So okay. Well, let me reply there, which I don't understand. How does that work? Yeah. Anyway, all right. So Norma, then go back to your phone. Yeah. So can you yeah, all right, never mind. All right, yeah. I mean, she'll go back to the phone automatically. So all right. I don't know, unless she has sound and it's just the volume is turned low or something like that. All right. So sure, we are on starting module 4 today, right?
okay.
And which is understanding what's really going on. Now, I don't remember what's all involved in this, so we'll see in a moment, which is kind of cool. So it's a bit of an adventure for me. I put this all together a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I have some idea at least. So, all right. So we're going to see, what's going on. So
This
this.
particular module is very involved. I will say that.
Oh, good. All right.
Remember that.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, that's it, hopefully so. I was saying just before you came on, and I want to repeat this because this bears emphasis. And emphasis is very important because emphasis rewires the brain,
Yes, it
right?
does.
Yeah. Okay, Norma. Yeah. Watch on your phone, Norma. Watch on the phone because you can listen on the phone. So ask Leonie or somebody to check that you've got sound on your computer. This will be very helpful. And if you do
Mm,
have actual speakers connected, that the volume is up because you may have that, but it's not activated. All right.
mhm.
Anyway, I was saying understanding is a big deal. And I
Yeah.
see this time and time again. People have a problem and they want a resolution and a fix to the problem. Well, duh. But there's a belief, an idea, an association that the fix is going to be some like a meme, some remedy, some do this, do that. And the thing is, they don't realize that understanding is the fix.
Yes.
Yeah. For instance, the example I was using is that you're in a problem, you've got some misbelief. All right, like you're really upset about something because you believe somebody was trying to sabotage you. Right? What do I do about somebody trying to sabotage me? Well, understand what's going on. Oh, you know what? Actually, I misunderstood. They're not trying to sabotage me. It's all is a misbelief. Right there, the understanding is the solution. Because, well, now the moment you understand that you misbelieved, you're going to stop being resentful, hurt, angry, whatever. You just
Yes.
shift, you change. Because how do you not update once you understand something, right? It's like you update automatically. And it happens instantaneously. And it's not this like a thing. It's sort of subtle. And I think this is why people don't see understanding as resolution, as solution, as fix, but it is when you really understand, right? Truly understand, not think you understand, but actually understand. So understanding is how you solve your problems, right? Inevitably,
Mhm.
right? Or at least it leads to it. Now, sometimes there are things that you need to do as well. Like in this case, well, one of the things you need to do to make it right is that you understand that you was misbelief. Well, you got to go and apologize to the person, yes, and set things right. So, sorry, I misunderstood. Oh, okay, there you go. Right. So there are doings that come from understanding, but to solve the problem first, we need to start with really understanding what's going on. Right. Then we can get to the doings. Yeah, makes sense, sure. I mean, you know this from
Yes.
your own application.
Yep.
You
Yep.
are
I'm just
a
listening.
testament to this. All right, so
Hmm.
we're going to look at this context. We're going to look at the larger context of your life in the context of course, this is now related to worrying and anxiety. The opportunity cost and missing out, right? And also includes FOMO, which is fear of missing out, self-absorption, immersion, whole person psychology, misbeliefs and misassociations, perspective shifting for greater comprehension, and physical. Yes, you're right. Sure. Wow, I'd forgotten all about this. This is like a whole course in itself, right here.
Yes, it
This is
is.
a lot in here.
Yep.
We're
This
going
one
deep. Yeah, we're
particular
going deep.
module is huge.
Yeah, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal. Wow, I'd forgotten that I'd put so much into this. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, well, very cool. All right. So in the larger context of your life, when we are anxious and we are worried, typically what we do is we reduce our awareness of the larger context of our life. We're looking at the now, at the immediate, at the bubble. It's like, I'm worried about whatever somebody's thinking about me or what I'm going to do tomorrow or whatever. And I forget what my whole life is about, right? And I say, what am I doing about my life in general, the larger context of our life? So I see again, I was starting to say stuff there, but I just read because I'm looking at the title. And in
Right.
my brain, I just extrapolate on the title automatically. And then the moreness comes, right?
I think
So we
for
tend to be consumed. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say for me when I think about that phenomenon there about how we just kind of we when you talked about pinpoint,
Yeah,
um, you
yeah.
had shared with me some time ago about taking like one of those mag lights, the flashlight, and how we can reduce it down to a tiny little pinpoint. Um, at
Yes.
least you can with laser lights now. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can take something big and
You can
really
focus them.
bring it down
That's
small.
right.
A lot of times that's what anxiety feels like. It doesn't, for me
Exactly.
anyway, it doesn't feel scattered. It
Exactly.
feels like I can only
Pinpoint.
think of one thing, almost like an obsession.
Yes. 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 We turn our attention into not just a spotlight, but a pinpoint light. That's it. It's only lighting up this little tiny area. That's it. And everything else is dark or fuzzy, right? And so we want to shift this. We want to change that setting and move it away from that super pinpoint spotlight to be broader and to see the whole picture, right? Because when
Mhm.
we are focused on only one thing, literally, like if you ever go to the theater and they have the spotlights, right? And you see the actor and they've got only the actor spotlighted and they're talking about it. And then they turn on the lights and suddenly say, wow, they're not alone. They got a whole bunch of people on the stage there, right? And you got all the props and everything. It's like, oh, wow, but they do this sometimes to give you this idea of the person being consumed in a bubble and they don't see the people around them. And then, something happens and they become aware, oh, I'm not alone. So they're making an abstract, symbolic point there. But this is how it is in life. Because when we get that pinpoint, anxiety and worry, like you say, it narrows our attention, it narrows our focus, narrows our awareness. It puts us in a profound, limited bubble. And
Yeah.
that can make us miss the bigger picture. And of course, when like that actor now, they may focus on the actor and the actor's dealing with, I don't know, let's say a scary, like a monster or something. And they're feeling, oh my God, I've got to deal this all alone. But as the lights make the whole stage, they say, oh, wow, there's a whole bunch of warriors around and I've got tons of people to help me with this monster. See? So when we see the bigger context, it changes how we relate and connect to the smaller context. And this is very, very important. Like my example on the stage, right? If you got to deal with a monster all on your own, it's like, wow, I can't do this. But when you look at the whole stage, you zoom out a little bit, you bring more light to it, you understand the bigger context, the larger context of your life. You realize,
Mhm.
well, you're never really alone. You're never ever really alone, right? There's always ways to get assistance, right? So just
Right.
on that, just one thing, right? Never mind other things like, well, I need to dig a hole or whatever. You know,
Oh, it's cutting out.
the thing where you need to do, and you don't zoom out. And you say, well, if I zoom out, well, I see all these tools lying around. Things too, that it's not necessarily about people, it's also about tools. And you may need to build something or dig a hole, and you only see the ground where you need to dig the hole. But as you understand, you look at logic, and you look around, like those lights come on the stage. Oh, well, there's a bunch of tools lying around. Here's a spade. All right, cool. I can dig more now, right?
Right.
So very powerful to zoom out. All right. So will you read, please, sir? Will you read? Save my
Okay.
voice a
All
minute.
right. So you want me to start at the beginning of that slide then?
Yeah.
Right.
We
All
tend
right.
to be. Yeah.
Yeah, we tend to be consumed by what's currently going on in our lives, forgetting to pay attention to what's to come in the longer term or what's happened in the past in the context of what's outside our immediate attention, such as, for instance, what will the effect on us be of perpetual anxiety and worry? Further, we neglect to pay attention to how much anxiety and worry have actually served us. What benefits we have actually acquired for all that stressful expenditure of energy. That right there, the further we neglect to pay attention to it's not serving us. Okay.
Exactly. And what will be, excuse me, what will be the effect on us of perpetual anxiety and worry? When we zoom out larger context, we start to look at the pattern. And this is very important, because if you're in that pinpoint, you're only seeing its effect now. And yes, okay, it's not a fun effect, it's not a pleasant effect, but in a little bit, it doesn't matter. But in large quantities over time, it of course matters, right? And this is very, very important to pay attention to, because typically when people get to problem stage is when that accumulation of all the little bits has added up. And I call it accumulation of minutiae. If you don't understand accumulation of minutiae, just go to anywhere in your home and take your finger on any ledge or any surface and run the finger along there and look at your finger and you'll see dust there, right? Now, okay, well, maybe not if you've just dusted. My point is, dust is a very good example of accumulation of a minutiae. If you don't dust, it builds up, and after a while, you got piles of it, and it's no good, right? So this is a good example. But in a little bit, like in any day, though, like if you have, your sergeant is coming with a white glove, they're going to find dust even if you've just dusted now, right? A little bit of dust, no big deal. It's nothing. It's dust everywhere in the air. So it's always around us, right? But in little bits, it's not an issue. But if you let it accumulate, it does become an issue. Yes. So we have to understand this accumulation of minutiae is a big deal over time. In itself, it's minute. It doesn't matter. That's minutiae means, lots of minute things, right? It's the plural of minute. Yeah. So, so it's important to be aware of this and start to look at patterns. I see this happening all the time because that awareness is so focused on the pinpoint. You say, well, it's no big deal. It's only one little thing. It's not affecting me. Yeah, it's not affecting you in itself, but a bunch of little things will affect you. Yes. And that's what anxiety and worry does. It leads to all sorts of physical ailments over time. Yeah. People don't realize that it builds up in the body. Right? As the body starts materializing what you're constantly focused and thinking of, it makes it physical in some way, right? Very, very important. So let's go to opportunity cost and missing out. What exactly is opportunity cost? I think I have it here. Okay, so if you read again, please, share.
Okay. Let me see. What can all that energy we spend on anxiety and worry be used for if redirected? I like that question. Opportunity cost is the price of what we miss out on because we're unable to use those opportunities. Anxiety and worry narrow and limit our awareness and attention, causing us to not see much, including opportunity. We tend to stay focused on what we imagine we need to avoid rather than on all we could do and partake of and engage in, which is positive and beneficial instead.
Right.
Yeah, we
I
do
mean,
get
this is
we get that tunnel vision going on.
exactly. I mean, just think out there, worry pots. I'm talking to you, right? Anybody who's worry pots or who's a worry pot or got anxiety, sorry, I might be able to say, well, don't be rude. So, well, okay, I'm being a bit harsh on you because I'm looking to press people who do worry too much out of this bubble. Be aware that you're a worry pot, and it's like you're stewing a cauldron of worry. How good is that? Think of the toxic fumes that come from this. But realize, in your focus on your worries, this perpetual habit of worrying, that you say, yes, but like, what's the harm of it really? Isn't it good? Am I not paying attention? Yeah, okay, there can be some positive that comes from it. You are paying attention. Maybe it leads you to be more cautious, etc. But think of what else is happening. What you miss out on because you're not noticing opportunity. And the price you pay for not taking those opportunities, it is massive. It is massive. It is huge, right? Because
Yeah.
your whole life is now just focused on anxiety and worry. You never see the gifts, the opportunities, mournesses. Wow, that's horrible, right? That's really, really, really sad. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's a steep price to pay. To me, that's a price that's just free. That's a way too high price. Yes. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's too much. There's so much moreness and magic in the world. Now, if you're worried and you say, yeah, what moreness, what magic? I never see it. Well, of course you don't see it. You're always focused on anxiety and worry. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Norma says, I used to worry about everything, especially as a child. Yes, Norma. And sadly, there are many that experience the same thing as you, because as children, their environment, they wasn't geared towards saying, look at the opportunities, look at the moreness, and you weren't shown a different way of being. So the default that we learn as children is to worry about everything. It's a learned behavior. It doesn't have to be so. So we can realize that our defaults like this of worrying about everything, it doesn't have to be so. We can change it. We can change it. We can change it. We didn't learn it as kids, but we can learn it now, right? Just
Right.
because we learned it then doesn't mean we have to stick with it, right? So this is it. And realize that, and like, obviously if you're saying that, you realize now that was kind of a waste, all that worrying. Yes. It's a
Yeah.
massive, massive waste.
I'll say we don't have to.
Go
So
ahead,
I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say one of the things that I focused in on when I was doing this module was the question, do I have to be bothered?
Yeah,
This goes back to our energy management. So
exactly. And Norma saying worry is fearful. Yes, exactly, Norma.
yes, it is.
Worry is fearful. That's what worry is. It is a way of trying to manage fear. And this is it. When we realize that fear for the most part is an idea, we can learn to deal with fear, have fear. We can even learn to minimize the fear. Just because something is dangerous doesn't mean we have to be afraid of it. Let me say that again. Just because something is dangerous doesn't mean I have to be afraid of it. I can appreciate its danger, but not be afraid of it. All right, well, it's dangerous to stand on the edge of a high building. Right?
Yeah.
I could fall off. But
Right.
we can do stuff like this. Wow, I'm enjoying the view. See?
Right.
Or a high bridge, whatever, cliff or whatever. I'm enjoying the views. It's wonderful. Yes, it's dangerous. I don't have to feel afraid. I can appreciate the danger. I'm being careful. Yes, I'm not going to go too close to the edge, but I understand this. Yes, I realize it's dangerous if something should happen, but it's a managed danger. At the same token, because I'm aware of the danger, I understand what is involved with standing on the edge of the cliff. I can now deal with the danger appropriately. I don't have to feel afraid. Fear is right. Fear is a negative feeling. It's a negative emotion. It's a negative relationship to things that are dangerous, to risk, in other words. We don't have to have a negative relationship to risk. We can have a positive relationship to risk. Yes?
We can change your expectations. I mean,
exactly. And change your awareness and understanding to say, yes, this is dangerous. I know it's dangerous, but I'm being appropriately careful. So I'm reducing the risk of the danger, and therefore I don't have to fear, right? And fear, even if I'm not, I still don't need to fear. Fear is a choice. For instance, when I talked about the lion tamers before. How does the lion tamer manage this? They're not controlling their fear and minimizing their fear. They have to learn to not be afraid, because even a little bitty fear will turn them into prey, and then the whole thing will go for a ball of whatever in with the lions, right? So they have to reduce fear. But why? Because they understand what the danger is, and they know how to deal with it. They know how to work with it. So they don't need to feel fear. They still understand the danger. So we can appreciate danger and risk without fear. This is a profound, profound, profound point. I've emphasized this before, and I'm repeating it, and I'll keep repeating it, to understand that we can appreciate danger and risk without fear. Fear is simply an emotional reaction to it, right? Now, take the roller coaster. Yes. I mean, people pay to go on a roller coaster and feel fear. Yeah. So,
yep, they can do that. No, thank you.
yeah, same for me. I don't enjoy it, right? Because it's not a pleasant feeling to me. But I'm making the point, though, that just because fear is naturally unpleasant, and it's kind of meant to be because it's associated with danger, it doesn't mean it has to be. We control our emotions. We control those associations, so we can change it, right? So we can use not as something debilitating, but as a gift. We can say, wow, I'm feeling a bit afraid. Oh, thank you. That means I need to pay attention, right? And now I pay attention to what the thing is alerting me to, and I assess the risk, and I say, okay, I see the risk, Cliff. I don't have to feel afraid because I know what the risk are. I'm being appropriate. I'm being sensible. I'm not standing too close. There's no wind that's going to blow me off, whatever. So, okay, I don't need to feel the fear, but I still appreciate the danger. Right? So I say, thank you, fear, for making me alert. Yeah. So when we use fear as something that we appreciate, now we can shift it and we can start to see those opportunities. Because again, if I'm standing on the edge of that cliff and I'm all afraid of falling out, I don't see the view. Right? I don't appreciate the view. I don't get the joy of standing on the edge of that cliff and feeling the breeze and the freedom and the openness, and a little bit, maybe a thrill of taking, all right, I'm kind of close, but it's a bit thrilling to be, caught a little bit of danger. There's that side of it too. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to stand about 10 feet back from the edge.
Right. But at the same time, you can appreciate, all right, so you shifted to say, look, I'm going to enjoy my own sensibility. Still standing 1 foot away, taking a big chance. All right, so that's you. I'm appreciating my own sobriety and sensibility, and I enjoy being sober and sensible and being extra cautious. See, you can use it. You can use it, transform it, perspective shift on it, right? And see the opportunity. But this is the point I'm making. If we're consumed by fear, standing on the edge of the cliff, whether it's 1 foot or 10 feet away, and we don't see the view, either way, you can still see the view, right? So you don't have to stand right on the edge. You don't have to take a risk to get the view, right? But you have to unhook from the fear of it. I've known people that can't go 10 feet to the edge of a cliff, right? They're so consumed by the fear. There's absolutely no chance of them falling off. I mean, it's like, come on, you're 10 feet away. How are you possibly going to fall off? It just can't happen. But they're so consumed by the idea, and the idea creates the fear, and it shuts them off, and they don't see the opportunity, right? So when we understand fear is an idea, then we can change it and we can use it. We can use it. Fear is a tool. It's a tool. It can be used positively or negatively, right?
Right.
So very exciting. Very exciting. So let's get to the next one here on self-absorption immersion. And again, see, I'm going fairly quickly through this. If this is me going through this as something new to me, I would spend probably, I don't know how long necessarily, but I would spend a long time going through the slide. I'd think about it, think it through to the end, perspective shift on it, explore it, and think it out, much like I'm doing now, but just slower. I'm going faster now because we have time limitations, but I do it much slower. That's what Sher was saying. There's a ton in this, because it's not a ton of content by way of lots of words and lots of sentences. It's a ton by way of implications.
There's a
So
lot of
when
it.
you look at this, what is the implication of opportunity cost and missing out? It's the implication that is the thing to explore. Plus, you've got to go over it so that you're like, yes, I get it. And how does this apply to me? I get it. Okay, I see how that works. I understand now. This is what I need to work on. This is what I need to change. This is my habits that I need to pay attention to. So the implications are where it's at, right? So that's why we've got to go through these things slowly. That's why I sure said there's a ton here. This is a big module, even though it's one slide at a time. Right? Each topic here is one slide. I mean, I could take this, if we go back to our contents here, right? And that's why I said, wow, there's a lot in this when I looked at the table of contents. I could make probably a course out of just each one of these. Yes. Right. I mean, this on its own, if I go into all the detail and write out every slide, all the points we were making, this could be, each one of these could be a course in itself, right? But I've condensed it here. And that's why she says this is a big course. But again, when she said big, you're assuming that each of these are going to be, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 50 slides. No, it's one. It's one, but there's so much in that one because of implications. If we, everyone's always say, I wish I was smarter. I'll show you how to be smarter. I'll tell you how to be smarter. One word, implications. Understand the implication of implications. Understand how powerful implications are, how powerful paying attention to implications is, and you'll be smarter, right there.
So implications, or now, if somebody were to ask me how to be smarter, my one word would be understand.
There you go. Right, I agree. Implications, understanding. Understanding, we kind of know, and understanding is like a duh. But when we start to understand about implications, it's an extra layer to understanding, right? So we want to understand, but we also want to look at the implications, right? So so they go together. So implications is like a subset to understanding. So it's very powerful, very, very powerful, right? So what can all that energy we spend on anxiety and worry be used for if redirected? I ask you, worry pots out there, tell me what else you could do with free energy. If you had extra energy in your life, what would you be doing, right? How many things would you like to do, but not really motivated? How many times don't you say this? I don't really have the time. Well, why don't you have the time? Well, because you're spending it all on worrying. Right? Why don't you have the energy? Because all the energy is going into worrying. See?
Yes.
A lot of things you can do with that energy. If you really see that your energy is being misused and abused and wasted, understand this point and this point alone, and your life will change. To say, man, am I? And again, when we go back a little bit later here, right? What value, or somewhere we said, what benefit did I get from all of this? No, didn't get much benefit.
It's misdirected.
Exactly, Norma. So many possibilities. There's so much joy. There's so much to appreciate in life. There's so much to connect to. There's tons of it, right? So anxiety and worry is the worst possible waste of our energy that we can possibly imagine. It doesn't bring us anything really. There might be some small benefits, but you can get that small benefits simply through appreciation as well. Appreciate the danger. Appreciate the risk involved. Appreciate the complexity. Okay, well, now I got to deal with it, right? Well, you can still appreciate it. You don't have to be fearful about it. That's the key point that I want to mention. Anxiety and worry is under this belief that being negatively affected is appropriate. No, we can appreciate risk without feeling horrible.
Right. You see, now to me, there's sometimes when there's only one occasion where I've ever experienced anxiety to be helpful, which is when I was able to leverage it for motivation, to see a positive of it. It's like, oh, wow, but maybe that wasn't anxiety at that point. That could have been just, excitement. But, you get that happy side of anxiety of.
That's wonderful. So everything can be used in some way. Even the worst thing is good for something. The worst possible thing in the world is a good, bad example. Right? So everything can be used value. And like I said, you found value out of your anxiety. It's magical. Yeah, don't keep, share. Yes, Norma, share, share, share. Sharing
Mhm.
is a philosophy. It's a profound way of living. When we really understand what sharing is, it becomes life changing. Yes.
Yeah,
So share, share, share. Again, most worry pots, they worry, and they, like my mother and a friend, right, that I used as examples. They were all right. They were sharing their worries, but it's not really a sharing, because they kind of were talking both at the same time, right? And they were just saying stuff, and all they were doing was really listening to themselves and immersing in that. If they were truly sharing, they would actually have said, well, is this for real? Does this really matter? Does this make a difference? Is this a valid fear, etc.? Right? They would have heard that they are just indulging in fear. Don't
right.
indulge in fear. Don't indulge in fear, right? It gets to be a habit. It's really a crazy habit, but so be it. This happens. This happens. We can be crazy. All right. So the self-absorption immersion. Let's move on to the next one here. What is the self-absorption immersion? What is this all about? Please show, if you'll read for us again.
Mm, I'm gonna have you read. I have a cracker.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Right, right. A cracker from a cracker.
Mhm.
Teach you a little bit. When we're inside our own bubble, whatever bubble that may be, things tend to reinforce themselves from inside that bubble. We seldom consider this. Thus, our local world reflects itself and reinforces itself, and tends to limit us seeing what's beyond the bubble. Very big point. When that bubble is anxiety and worry, we end up living in a world where everything is a possible threat, a potential problem, or unending sources of stress, fret, and bother. Round and round we go, fear reinforcing fear, even if
Mhm.
they may be small fears. Nonetheless, we keep that world intact with our self-absorption and immersion into our anxiety and worry. And this is no good whatsoever. Yeah, don't
Mm-mm.
do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's no good, right? So again, this is the key point here. When we're inside our own bubble, whatever bubble that may be, things tend to reinforce themselves from inside the bubble, right? So if we think of that theater, we're looking at the stage, that's kind of a bubble. And we have to suspend our disbelief that, we get caught up in the story, and we forget we're in the theater. Or like when you're watching a movie, you forget you're sitting there watching, you get pulled inside, you get inside the bubble of the movie. And now, okay, it's like, oh, the phone rings and the person's alone in the house, you're watching a horror movie. Right? He said, don't pick up the phone, don't pick up the phone, right? He's shouting at the person, but of course it's a horror movie, so they're going to pick up the phone, right? It happens every
Right,
time.
right.
They don't get it, but you shouting at them, don't pick up the phone. That's your immersion in the bubble. Now, all right, for some people, that's the joy of watching these movies. I don't find it fun, but okay.
Or don't stand near the edge of the cliff because you know it's
Right,
always going to
exactly,
fall off.
exactly, exactly, exactly. I mean, three of your friends have already been murdered, and
Yeah.
by being pushed off the cliff, and yet you are like, hey, what's going on over there? Don't stand on it. All right. So but it's about immersion into the bubble, right? But
Yeah.
when we are in an anxiety and worry immersion bubble, it makes it so closed, and we're just seeing this bouncing, this reflection of our fears bouncing off the inside of this thing, right? It's like in that
Right.
movie, you're getting caught up in the stupidity of the movie. Same thing with anxiety
Right.
and worry, right?
I want to interject a point here real
Please.
quick, and this is for Norma, if that's okay.
Oh, please chat to Norma. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
Norma is part of us here.
she had a really good question. I don't know, some time ago, a few weeks back, about, what did I mean by deliberate living? This particular slide right here,
Yeah,
this points to deliberateness.
exactly.
When we this is where I got into being deliberate, is because understanding that my worry was, it was all based on the inability to wait without stressing myself out.
Yes,
And I needed to
yes,
find a way to,
yes,
I guess, just eliminate that limiting awareness. I
yes,
needed to pop that bubble. And so being intentional, being very deliberate about,
yeah,
focusing on, not focusing on worry. Does that make
Exactly.
sense? Okay.
Yes, yes, makes huge sense. That's huge sense.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah, Norma asks great questions. Yes, I do love your
Yeah,
questions, Norma.
she really did.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, but
last like weeks later, Norma. Weeks later.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, the thing is though, it's where it comes down for me is that I did not have to choose this journey into understanding, you know, my anxiety, my worry, my stress, my depression. I didn't have to, but I
yeah,
did choose it. It had to be a very deliberate and conscious choice um, to take care of this. Otherwise, I was never going to shift out of it. I was going to be staying trapped in
yeah,
a bubble
yeah,
and forever self-harming.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Uh,
deliberateness
exactly.
afforded me deliberateness. Um, what was the cost of being deliberate? Nothing.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And that shifts you. And you said something very powerful. You said that you realized that you were unable to wait without stress,
Yes,
that your
yes,
waiting was stressful. But when you
yes,
realized that, you said, "Well, let me deliberately try and do something else." And that deliberation moved you out of that bubble where you couldn't wait without stress. And you
right,
learned to wait without
right,
stress, which to me, it's my definition of patience. Patience is the ability to wait without stress, or at least one of the definitions for patience.
right.
So when we start to do things deliberately, we shift. And you deliberately said, "I want to deliberately poke my head out of this bubble."
Uh-huh.
And by doing that, of course, you pop the bubble, right? So I want
Yes,
to deliberately see if there's something else I can do besides stressing.
yes,
Deliberate,
yes.
deliberate.
Because the
A
stress was just
bubble,
breaking me down. And the more
exactly.
deliberate I live, the healthier I get. Well, how does that
Exactly.
happen? Because I'm
Exactly.
focusing on the internal, not the
Ex-
external.
Exactly.
I'm not
Exactly.
telling myself, oh gosh, there's a pain here. What am I going to worry about? You know, what could it be? Nope, there's a pain here. What am I going to do? Stretch it out, walk,
Exactly.
shift my focus, anything other
Yeah.
than
It's huge.
expend
It's huge.
energy on where it doesn't need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge. It's huge. So the moment that we start to deliberately do things, right? When you put your head up to look outside the bubble, that pops the bubble. That's what deliberateness is, right?
Yeah,
And a bubble,
making a
by
choice.
definition, being undeliberate. That's what a
Yeah,
bubble is. You're not aware you're in a bubble. That's why it's called a
right.
bubble, right? And the things,
Yeah.
they bounce off the edge of the bubble back at you. Essentially, if you look at bubbles from the inside, you really see that the inside of the bubble's a mirror, really. And all your
Hmm.
stuff just gets reflected back to you, right?
Yeah.
So bubbles, the self-absorption, immersion, that is another word for bubble. So,
Yeah.
yeah, waiting, dreading. Yes, Norma. And just to answer Norma's quick question here real quickly, it doesn't matter if you're the only one here, Norma. No, we don't want to postpone or anything because
No.
it's live now and people watch without interacting. Secondly, they watch on the replay. So it doesn't matter when we do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's
But
all good.
no, it was it just really struck me. It's like, oh wow, yeah, that right there is the perfect answer to me, anyways, to what
Yeah,
deliberateness is. And that's
right.
why I always put, it's living deliberately,
Exactly.
deliberate, you know,
Exactly.
uh, living unbound, and it's all deliberate. Every
Yeah,
bit of it
right. Right.
is deliberate
Exactly.
for me.
Now look at the consequences, the implications of living deliberately, right? And this is a way of impeccability. Its subtitle is a toolbox for deliberate living.
Yes, it
That's
is.
it. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Deliberate living. Now let's look at this in a little bit in more detail here. What happens when we start the implications of deliberate living? First of
We
all,
realize we have choice.
precisely. And secondly, when the moment we realize we have choice, we're no longer a victim. A victim is by definition somebody who has horrible things to happen to them and they don't have no choice about it. Correct?
Right.
Right. So the moment we say I'm living deliberately, I'm also saying I am no longer a default victim. I may be the victim of specific things, but again, if stuff happens to me, well, stuff happens. That's life. It doesn't make me a victim. A victim is a psychology. It's not just a technical term, right?
Yes.
A victim
Right.
psychology. It's like being poor. I've had plenty times in my life where I've had no money or little money. I've never ever been poor. I've literally gone, long times without having a single cent, literally, but I've never been poor, because poor is a psychology. Yeah. It's an
Yes,
attitude. It's a victim
yes,
mindset, and it's you're willing to accept anything and all this stuff. A lot of things that go with a poor mindset. No, I was never poor. I never had money, but it didn't matter. When we lived in the desert, what the hell, we had almost next to nothing there. No running water, no electricity, no phones, no cars, no nothing. Didn't matter. We had a ball. We had a wonderful time. It was incredible, because I didn't have that poor mindset, right? I had the mindset to be deliberate about it. We made the best of what it was. I ate rice every day. One God knows how long. I've eaten rice in every possible way you can imagine, right? I mean, because luckily we had a whole basket full of spices. And that was our food, rice and spices. So I've had rice flavored every way you can imagine. But I never complained. Enjoyed it. It was magical every day, because of this deliberate living, right? Because
right.
I knew that in that desert where I was there because I had chosen to be there.
That's it
Right?
right
It was
there.
because of attunement, and I
Choices.
chose it. And because when we were dropped off in that desert, right, we had this moving
Huh?
van guys, and they're dropping off, and they looked around, and we're in this desolate place. And every time they took something out of the moving van and went to go and put it down, they said, "Are you sure you want to stay here?" Every single time. They must have said this at least 100 times, if not more. "Are you sure you want to stay here?" And they were emphasizing, "Are you really sure?" I said, "Yes, yes, yes." And the person
Right,
who was with me said yes too. Every time we chose to be there, because it was magical. It was because of attunement. And of course, it was a magical, magical adventure. Doesn't matter that we didn't have anything. Doesn't matter that we ate rice and spice every day. It made no difference. It was an incredible thing, because we
right,
were following attunement, the magical. We were being deliberate, in other words. That's the key. We're being deliberate. We weren't focused on worrying, what are we going to do? We don't have running water. You got to take it out of this little shallow well, and the well had worms in it. God knows what. It doesn't matter. None of that mattered, because we were being deliberate, right? We found ways to deal with it. We're being deliberate. Deliberate living is a profound thing. It makes things exciting that could otherwise be horribly stressful. I mean, I know people that were gone there, and it would have been the most miserable time of their lives, and they would have missed all that moreness that I was talking about in previous slides here. All that moreness, all that opportunity. It was an incredible thing. Yeah. So, I mean, I have plenty written about that, in my posts, but still, I'm making the point here that don't get absorbed in yourself. Look beyond
right.
yourself. It's
Yep.
very limited, right? And it's a bubble, and that bubble has that silver lining inside that you think is a silver lining, but what is behind the mirror, right? What's underneath the glass at the back of a mirror? Silver. It's reflective. Yeah. So be
Yes.
very careful of silver linings. They can reflect you back on yourself, and you live in your own little world. And of course,
Uh-huh.
if your own world is revolving around fear on top of fear, you just keep bouncing these fears back at yourself, and then they get enlarged and magnified, and very soon you're living in a world of fear. And that's what anxiety and worry is, right? It's
Right.
anxiety is when worry is when they're still little and they're more or less manageable. Anxiety is when they've grown bigger, and it's now become a pattern and a habit, and you really absorbed in it, right? And it becomes debilitating. But realize that all you got to do is pop your head out of that bubble, be deliberate about saying, I want something else, right? That's the start,
Right.
right? This is a very big deal. So, round and round we go, fear reinforcing fear, even if there may be small fears. Nonetheless, we keep that world intact with our self-absorption and immersion into anxiety and worry. Don't get absorbed in yourself. You're not the whole world. You're more than that, right? You are much bigger than that. Magic should be taught, says Norma. That's exactly what we're doing. And choice is not always possible, at least not the choices that we'd like to make, but there are
Oh,
always choices, Norma, even though they might not be potentially or desirable choices.
no, choice is
Like in the
always
desert,
possible.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. I mean,
But
we didn't have the choice of what to eat necessarily, but yeah,
right,
I could have
exactly.
gone and hunted. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
But that's when your choices are limited. But choice is it that's the one universal constant that I'm aware of. That
correct. There's always
never
choice.
changes. We always will have a choice,
Yeah,
even though it's
yeah, yeah,
limited.
yeah, yeah. So one choice we always have is to not do, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I could have said,
I could
well, I don't
choose
want to
not
do
to
any of
choose.
this. I'm checking out. I'm leaving. Right. That's it. So we always have this choice to stop,
Yeah,
to end it, to quit the game, whatever you want to call it. Right. So
yeah,
there's always a choice. It's not the choice that we might want necessarily. Right. So
right.
when you say, choice is not always possible. to modify that, Norma. The choices that we think we want aren't always possible. But when we realize that we are connected to the universe, and the universe will bring you choice that you didn't even realize once you pop your head out of that bubble, right? Look at that spot in the desert. Those movers would have thought, man, what choices do they have? There was a whole magical world out there. It was incredible. There's so much stuff going on. We had choices in terms of what to eat. Well, that was it. We had one choice, rice, because we had spent our last money on supplies while we had seeds. We were growing a garden, but we had to wait until it grows. So in the meantime, all right, rice took our money the furthest way. So we ate rice, no problem, right? But again, so we didn't have choice of what to eat. I suppose we could have eaten, bugs and beetles on the desert, not much out there. There was, we could have done that maybe, but still. There are always choices. They're not desirable choices necessarily, but they're choices.
Right.
So worry keeps checking, exactly. And worry keeps checking on limited choices.
Ooh, I like that. Whoever said that. That was good.
Yeah, Norma,
That's cool,
Norma's
Norma.
full of stuff. Yeah, worry keeps checking, but exactly. But what
I
are
like
you
that.
checking on? Are you checking
Yeah.
on the things that you already know? That's what worry
Yeah.
does. It just reinforces what you already know. It's not
Yes.
checking for opportunity. Change your worry to say, let me start worrying about opportunity, about
Right.
missing out on opportunity. Leverage your worry. Oh, now I'm checking for opportunity. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So if you are going to worry about something productive, something valuable, right?
Yeah,
Worry
there you
about
go.
missing out. In other words, worry about fear of missing out, like FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Worry about that. Worry that you're going to miss out because you're not paying attention to the opportunity. And to really, when we start to really break out of the bubble, the universe is always bringing us opportunity. It's an incredible thing. It's really amazing, but we're so consumed we don't notice it. That's the problem. It's not that there isn't choice, it's that we don't notice choice. It's a very big difference, right? So choice is always there. Yeah. And again, choosing may be hard, but doesn't mean we don't have a choice, right? We have to not make sure we don't confuse the two. It may not be a choice that you want to make. Yeah. The whole world should listen to this. Thank you, Norma. Yeah, I agree. This is very profound, life-changing stuff. Yes. And any one of these points. Now, I want to make another point about understanding. Understand, we don't need to know all of these things. Any one of these points taken to its end will connect you to all the others. Let me repeat that. Any one of these understandings, any one of these profound points, these conceptions, these bigger points, like self-absorption mechanism, missing out, whatever. Right? Any one of them, if you get into it fully and you explore it into its totality, it's going to connect to all of the other, and you're going to have it all. You can start with one, take it to its end, and you have all of them, right? So you don't have to load all of it in like, from schooling, you've got to cram everything in. You've got to learn all the things. It's all about memory. No, this has got nothing to do with memory. It's about understanding. Understand one fully, and you'll understand all the rest, right?
Yeah.
This is all connected. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Just,
All right, so
I guess just to back that up for you too, give a little
yeah,
validation.
please.
I was looking at my, I'm following in my notes, of course. These notes that I took in this particular module are from back in September of 22. So
Wonderful.
did I tell you how long and how frequently I keep going back? Because it wasn't just my initial notes. These are more notes that I took on top of other notes. So yeah, so it's ongoing. All of this is ongoing at all times.
Exactly. There's always more.
Oh, there
Capital
is.
M. There's always more. If there's one thing that I could get the whole world to hear, Norma, it would be that.
There's
There
always
is
more.
always more. It never ends. There's magic on top of magic on top of magic. There's moreness on top of moreness on top of moreness. That's why moreness is such a profound concept. It's a philosophy in itself. Once you understand this concept of moreness, you realize it never ends, right? It's incredible. There's always more. It's incredible. So the quote here is what Joe was referring to earlier, right? Worry is mostly an aggravated form of impatience or the inability to wait without stress. It's incredible. It's so profound what you said there, Joe. This is such a big deal, right? That's why I regard patience as a superpower. Patience, the ability to wait without stress. It's a superpower. It's a superpower because It's not just that I'm now, oh, you say, well, not having stress, no big deal. What do you get out of this? When I am able to wait without stress, I am able to continue waiting. How many people give up waiting because the stress gets too much, and then they quit whatever they were doing, whatever they were waiting for, and then they start again, and they never ever get to the end of the waiting. In other words, the thing that is the benefit of waiting for, they never ever get that in the hand, right? Because they never get to the end, because the stress kicks them out. They never finish the waiting, right? So patience
Yes.
is the ability to wait without stress. It also means you actually finish the waiting and you get the thing that you're waiting for. Furthermore, when you are waiting without stress, right? Waiting with stress. Let's just say you're waiting for the bus, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you're all stressed about, oh, is the bus going to come? When is the bus going to come? And you're in this bubble. Did you see your friend driving by, waving at you and slowing down and saying, hey, you want a lift? No, you didn't even notice them. And I said, well, all right, I guess they're happy to take the bus, and off they go. Did you see that opportunity? No, you didn't see it, right? So I'm just saying, for argument's sake, right, as a simple example, there are many opportunities that come that we don't even know were there because we're so in our bubble of focus. So we miss out because we don't see, because we're in that bubble. But when you're waiting patiently, right, I've got no stress. What am I doing when I'm sitting there at the bus stop without stress? I'm looking around. Oh, wow, that's really interesting over there. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, who's sitting next to me? Oh, what's going on? Oh, let's have a chat. And I get into this whole long conversation. It's like, wow, that was a cool conversation. Oh, here's the bus already. Ah, dang it, man, I got to go. All right. See? Plenty opportunity. When you're not involved in stress, all sorts of things come your way, and you can just spend your time appreciating life in the world, and just breathing, just being. You could be appreciating as opposed to worrying, right? Opportunity missed out. You missed out the opportunity of simply enjoying being alive, because you know this. So we missed out lots and tons because we cannot have patience. Patience enables us to really connect and explore and be aware and see more and choose what we want to connect to. Yeah, that's a massive, 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 massive thing. Yes, thank you, Norma. Thank you. Norma says, remember the time. Yes, I have a bit of a time deadline, but we can go a little more. Yes, so I think we coming. Let's see, whole person psychology must be this. All right, yeah. So I'm going to end it here for today. Just because I do have something else I need to do, and this is a lot of stuff. So you see, it's got a little break with a quote here automatically in this. So, so I would recommend for anybody who is serious about this, go back over this, stop the video, go slowly, write notes, do takeaways, do repeat backs on the stuff, take the core conceptions, add them to your dictionary of power, really use this, get into it fully. Don't just hear and say, oh, I get it, and then move on. No, you've got to get it to the point of living it. You've got to get it to the point of living it deliberately. And when you get to the point of living it deliberately, you are getting it to the point where you are making actual real changes. Not just that, oh, I get it, I sort of understand it. No, if there's no change, you're not getting it.
No.
It's surface understanding to me, capital U understanding, means it's associated with application, with doing. If your understanding doesn't result in doing, it's BS, right? You're just thinking it's ego. It's narcissism, in other words. Oh, I get it. I understand. Well, has your life changed? No. Yeah, but I understand. Has your life changed? No. Well, then you don't understand. Sorry. See, your understanding has to result in real change, actual real change. Then you, I understand. Yeah. Right, sir? Right, sir?
Yeah. Yes. One of the things I like to remember is that understanding is not static.
Exactly.
It's never static.
Exactly. Understanding is dynamic. It's interconnected. Interconnected. Yeah. Actually, before we go, there is something that I do want to share. In this point of interconnectivity, it's a slide in another module, the one I was doing with, I'll pull it up in a moment here. I was doing it with Jessica earlier, and it's just a cool slide because it's a slide that actually represents and illustrates the dictionary of power. and interconnectedness. So I'm going to go there in a second here now. So this is a very cool session, and sure, this just while we're on it now. So the moment of now, this session is all about when you are stuck, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you are stuck. And this is a very profound session. This is now a session for Way of Impeccability, right? And this question, I was asked this question by, well, Limo is a semi-fictional character, but the person that inspired Limo, they actually asked me this for real. And they really wanted to know. There was a very honest question. How can I look at this moment differently? And I didn't give them answers. I gave them questions, right?
Right.
In response to the question, right?
Right.
I gave them a whole bunch of questions. And the question is the mechanism for looking at the moment differently. I don't want to give them answers. I want to give them questions.
Right.
So anyway, but this I was saying to, so Jessica was connected to somebody who was kind of a bit suicidal. This is very appropriate for them. Or when we stuck inside those bubbles that we were talking about, and this is a question from inside the bubble. Limo was asking, how do I deliberately pop this bubble? Well, that's how can I look at it differently? That's what, when you look
Yes.
at your bubble, and you look at it differently, that's the mechanism for popping the bubble, right? So we know other people that are in a profound bubble right now, right,
Yes.
Sure? So I said, share this. I gave her a link, a shareable link to this module to share with the person who was suicidal and also with the other person that we know that is in this
Okay.
bubble. Don't know if they will go through it, but if they can, this would be very profound, right? So
That
this
would be
question,
nice.
what's the gift in it? But I want to get to the next slide here, right? And this is, right, to say, do I absolutely have to feel this exact way, be this way? What if I choose to feel differently, be differently right this second, and then, of course, change, right? It's
I really
associated
like
with
that.
what I was saying earlier, right? It's all connected. But the
Right.
reason I'm coming to this particular slide is because, look here, and I added this in earlier today. Picture, embracing your dictionary of power. This is dictionary of power. Each point is a conception. You've got appreciation, you've got awareness, you've got attunement, you've got integrity, you've got intent, right? You've got all of these different points, but they all interconnected, right? And whatever you put into your dictionary of power, it may be, like in Sher's case, patience, or she may have even put impatience in there, right? Because impatience is a kind of an arrogance, because we're expecting the world to operate on our timetable. And when we understand that, we can't be it anymore. Or waiting without stress, right? It doesn't matter what the entry is, but they're all connected. They're all connected. And so I said, man, this is an ideal graphic and image here of somebody embracing their dictionary of power. When we understand our dictionary of power is not a list which is linear, it is spherical, it's dimensional, and it's interconnected. See, each one is not just connected to the ones next to them, right? It's this is connected to that, but it's also connected to that. It's also connected to this. And see, so it guys, multi connectivity. Now, each point isn't connected to each and every point directly. It's connected to many directly, but it's also connected to all the others indirectly, right?
Yes.
So you've got that 6 degrees of separation happening here, and that's just the world, right? I mean, whether it's 6 degrees or less or more, doesn't matter. The point is everything is connected to everything else. You can take any point and get to any other point from that point because everything is connected, right?
Yes.
So when we see the connectivity, we can get to anywhere, right? I mean, it's like when you're traveling on the roads, on the map.
Yes.
There might not be a highway that takes me directly from, San Francisco to Miami. I have to go through a bunch of other cities. There's not one direct highway. But when we understand, okay, I've got to go here first, then there, and I may have to zig and zag a bit, but okay, so what? Doesn't matter. I get there, right? So when we just look at this, interconnectivity is wonderful. And of course, if you had to drive from San Francisco to Miami on one straight road, that'd be pretty boring, maybe. The fact that you do have to go through different cities and stuff, well, that adds interest, right? And it adds to the thing. It makes it fun. So interconnectivity adds. It's a very powerful slide here. This module, if it's possible to go through this with somebody who's stuck, sure, this very, 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 very powerful. Hopefully, if they hear it. So I was saying to Jessica also, when we are stuck, and if you're stuck in anything, be aware that dialogue is the start of unstuck. And actually, I added, let me go back here.
Yes.
So we say, what an awesome question. Perhaps ask, where or what is the gift in it, right? So when the question here is, how can I look at the moment differently? So look at your moment and say, where is the gift in it, right? But there were some other things here, right? And this is from Janelle Reblessed, right? I've forgotten this was her Way of Impeccability name. It's very cool. It's very appropriate for her, right? Everything happens for me, not to me. Yeah. And then, oh, I thought this is where I added. Oh, sorry. I guess this wasn't where it was. Maybe it was here. Yeah. Yeah. We can. So this point, right. I mean, this is the start of it, right? What we are looking to do in this module here, and the same with where we were with anxiety and worry, shifting, right? Shifting is the key concept. This is what goes into your dictionary of power. Actually, let me emphasize that.
Right.
That's what we want to understand what shifting is. This whole session here is about shifting. And so shifting where we are and how we feel, how we think, and how we perceive is essential for learning, which is the same thing as saying it's essential for change. You need to learn to shift, right? So this
Yes.
session presents a list of options for shifting in ways which enable change. Looking at life and ourselves differently is an essential ingredient for personal transformation. But it's this thing that I said underneath here. I coined a
Right.
new word, right? We
But for
can
the,
think of. Oh,
I
one
was
second,
going to,
one second, one second. Hold that point. Hold that point. I want to just make this point about this unstucking here, right? We can think of shifting, especially that initial shifting, as unstucking ourselves. Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead.
I was going to say from experience, it does determine on where it's dependent. Any of this shifting is dependent on where the person is with their
Yes.
willingness first,
Yes.
willingness to be curious, their willingness to be a little bit more open and explore something different
Exactly.
other than what they're
Exactly.
feeling right then and there.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
if they're
Yeah.
not, then
Yeah.
that's what's sad, is that a lot of this won't work if somebody
Exactly.
is not to that point of having
Exactly.
that little tiny crack
Exactly.
of, well,
Exactly.
maybe
Yeah.
it could be different. Because if they
Yeah.
believe that it can't
Yeah.
be, you're
Yeah.
just going to
Yeah.
waste your time.
Right. So the real deep start is the awareness and
Yes.
acknowledgement that they are stuck. You
Yeah.
can't start to shift, because when we're talking shifting here, right, I wanted to connect
Right.
shifting with unstucking. Now,
Yep.
unstucking is not the same as unsticking. If you think of something that's stuck, right, like you've got a cupboard that you need to move, and it's kind of stuck, right? What do? You kind of rock it a little bit first, or you shake it a little bit, and in that shaking, it starts to get unstuck, and then you can start to shift it. Yes.
Yeah.
So unstucking is not the same as unsticking. It's that initial movement a little bit, that kind of shaking it a little bit, and that awareness that's being stuck is an issue. That's the real tiny little start. So if somebody can be aware that, hey, are you stuck? Yeah, I am stuck. Then the shifting can start, because it starts with that initial, flexing, moving, and just kind of feeling your way around. Like I said, shaking the cupboard a little bit to get it unstuck, and then you can give it that push and it moves. Yeah. So this is very important. This understanding, this concept. Let's just say I coined a new word here, right? Unstucking. It's a very profound thing. Unstucking is like the first step of shifting. Yes.
Yeah.
You can't shift because if you're still stuck, it's rigid, like your cupboard. It's stuck. Right? You need to kind of loosen it up a bit, and then you can shift it. Right. So unstucking is that initial loosening it up, breaking that crust that's around the thing, that holds it stuck. Right. So very, very powerful, very, very powerful concept. This unstucking and shifting, very, very powerful. So when we caught up in anxiety and worry, we have to be aware that we are stuck first, to start to get out of it. I'm stuck in this pattern, this loop, this bubble of worrying and anxiety. How do I get unstuck? All right, that's now we're starting, right? So you just flex it, just shift a little bit. Yeah. Shifting, very powerful concept. Shifting. We need to learn to shift, to be able to shift. Yeah, very powerful. All right, brilliant. Anything to say before we go?
Oh, no, no.
Yeah. That point that Norma is emphasizing, you said feeling right. This is exactly what impeccability is. It is learning to feel right, but right according to you, to your personal conscience, not right according to what the world says. No, according to what you and your conscience says. If we can live according to what's right to us, and we've checked that, we've been thorough, we're not being egotistical or narcissistic and just assuming that whatever I think is right. No, we are making sure that this is an objective thing for ourselves, that we can really sign off on it. Now we can truly live with purpose, with meaning. We can live deliberately, and we can live contentedly, happily, joyfully, because we are doing what's right according to our conscience. And our conscience is satisfied that we've been thorough, we've been deliberate, we've been purposeless, we've been scrupulous, we've been conscientious in checking this out, right? And this
Yes.
is really an awesome power, right? It's an awesome
Yes.
way to be. So yes, feeling right is absolutely critical, but we have to be very careful. We have to really understand what we mean by right. Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
go into
So
detail
I've
with
pretty
it.
much,
Not Mr.
yeah, I've
Bushing.
pretty much taken out the words right and wrong out of my vocabulary. I don't use,
Exactly, 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 exactly. So when we
not because
say
it makes
right
me
here,
better,
it's a
but just
very
because it makes,
qualified word. Exactly.
right, not because it makes me better than anybody. I
Correct.
don't want anybody to get that idea. It's
Never,
because
never.
I cannot wrap my
Yeah.
mind around, I
Yes.
guess,
Yes.
objectively what
Yes.
right and
Yeah.
wrong is.
Exactly.
It's dependent
Exactly.
on the person.
Yeah,
So
it's contextual. It's a
yes,
variable,
there it
right?
is.
So
There it
right.
is. So
Right. So that feeling right, I would feel, I'm going to guess here
balance.
and say I feel very confident in saying that likely sure has replaced right with the word appropriate. It's
Yes.
feeling appropriate, not right, because right is a variable, it's flexible, it changes all the time. Feeling
Inappropriate
appropriate.
for
Oh,
me.
well, duh, appropriate. Well, duh, appropriate is always a variable, right? That's what
Right.
appropriate means. It's to shift accordingly, right? So
The
yeah,
biggest part of that variable for me is balance. When I think of
exactly.
appropriate, I also think of balance.
Exactly, exactly, exactly,
Because it's
exactly,
always
and
going to be shifting. There's always going to be one
exactly,
side that's a little bit more
exactly,
than the other, but it balances
exactly.
perfectly. So
And that's the thing with balance. Balance is dynamic.
yes, it
It's not
is
static, right? You've always got to adjust to keep in balance. So it's a variable, it's
constant.
adjustable, it's flexible, it's fluid. It takes the environment and everything that's happening into cognizance, into it responds, right? That's what appropriateness is. It's maintaining your balance. And you're always adjusting, you're being flexible, you're updating, you're learning, you're changing, right? And you're moving. That's it. It's incredible. Appropriateness is the only thing, as far as I know, that's always appropriate.
Yes.
That's why
Yeah.
it's the one word. It's the one word, one concept. If you forget
Well,
anything else, just remember that one, appropriateness. The only thing you need. From there, everything else will flow. That whole bubble of those that interconnected, right? The dictionary of power. You can
yeah.
start with appropriateness, and it will connect you to every single other one from there, right? Yeah.
Well, now
Everything
we're
else will
going to
flow from
practice.
that.
We're going to practice some appropriateness for your schedule because you said you needed to
Yes.
go.
Yeah. Yes, yes. I have a little bit of flexibility. I'm going to go and sell
Oh,
stuff in the flea market, but I don't want to get there late. That's
okay,
why
very
I'm
good.
just ending a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I
All
have
right.
some
Enjoy your
some
afternoon.
flexibility. But yeah, yeah. Appropriateness, like you said, they have to be appropriate. This is key.
Yes.
This is key. It's
Okay.
it's a philosophy. Wonderful. I don't want to go because I'm enjoying it so much. And thank you, Norma, for being here. Thank you for your
Okay.
comments. Thank you for your questions. Always
Absolutely.
profoundly appreciated. It's a big deal. It's a
Absolutely.
big deal. All right.
I'll be
All right.
talking to
All
you
right. There we
soon.
go. Yes. All right. Bye bye,
All right,
sure.
thanks.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Too magical. Too magical.